Los Osos, thank you. The Los Osos Community Advisory Council meeting for March 23rd. Let's go directly to the roll call. Tom?
All right, for District 1, Patrick McGibney.
Here.
Andrea Luker.
Present.
Kristen Horowitz, I believe, is absent.
Correct.
Tom Cross is here. Hello. District 3, Larry Bender.
Present.
Larry Rayo.
Excused.
All right, and District 4, Deborah Howe.
Present.
John Lind.
Not yet.
Not yet. He may show up.
All right. All right. At-large supervisor appointees, Jim Stanfill.
Yes.
And Trish Bartel.
Present.
All right. That is roll call. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairperson announcements. It is with a heavy heart that I have to say that our planning department liaison, Corey Hahn, is leaving the planning department and will no longer be with us, but we have a great person now, Claire Momberger, who will be joining us, and she'll be giving that report later tonight. And that's the only chairperson announcements I have. Are there any council member announcements?
Trish, I was
Yes,
going to raise my hand, but
that's fine.
I just wanted to thank Corey for all his work, and we much appreciate everything that you did for us and helped us with.
Thank you.
You're here.
Thank you, Corey.
And Corey, by the way, is showing up tonight. He's not even working for the county anymore, but he's here to provide support for Claire on his own time. So Corey, you're a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other council member announcements tonight? All right. Let's go on to county and local reports. The sheriff's report. I thought I saw Sergeant Coys. There you are. Unmute. Okay, I've asked you to unmute. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Elliot Coy's Sheriff's Office. So I'll go through what we have here for the month of February. So it looks like we had 71 calls for Los Osos in February 2023, whereas the year prior we had 62. So we're up a little bit. And probably some of that is from the storm. Looks like we had 9 assault or battery calls, 30 general disturbances, 2 burglaries, 5 thefts, 1 vandalism, 2 mail thefts, 1 phone scam with a loss, 27 suspicious circumstances, and that could be a number of different things, 91 enforcement stops, and 35 preventative patrol activity, which could be foot patrol, area checks, things of that nature. All we have, and happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Are there any questions from the council? All right.
I have a question.
Deborah?
Sure.
Have you seen uptick in other coastal communities?
I'll have to check on what the Cayucas and Cambria looked like. I don't do those reports. That's the other sergeant out there, but I could definitely check with him and I'll get back to you on that.
Just out of curiosity, to see if that's something that's, as you say, because of the extreme weather we're having, or if there's something changing here in our little community.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Trish, I have a quick question.
Sure.
And I almost hate to bring it up, but I was at the South Bay Community Center the other day getting ready for the fundraising concert that we're going to be doing for the Save Cuesta Inlet on April 1st. And I hate to say it, but I've noticed a significant increase of the camping RVs on Palisades. And I know it's a struggle, but any comments on that whatsoever? And then with the closure or the no longer accepting people, or who knows what's really happening at the county side, I'm just curious if you have any comments. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a hot button issue right now, and it's being talked about every day. with us. And me and my commander and my fellow sergeant out there are roundtabling stuff on a weekly, if not daily basis on how to kind of deal with it. And we've gone up and down our chain of command. So kind of in the short term, what we're doing is talking to the people out there on Palisades and a couple other problem spots and just letting them know of resources, options, telling them that this can't continue forever. And we're trying to get them into, there's some resources in SLO for them. Obviously the Kansas Safe Parking site down off Highway 1 is going to be closing down here in a few months, it sounds like. So that's a whole nother bridge we're gonna have to cross when we get to it, but we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that once that happens in a few months, that Palisades doesn't turn into, like it was a year and a half ago where it was just completely full. And so we're starting that process now. Tomorrow, we're gonna be back out there again, doing more contacts, and we're working on getting the vehicles that have very expired registration, probably towed out of there, the ones that are, because there's a couple that look to be abandoned or basically just been parked there in the same spot forever. So those are going to be working on getting towed out. The people that can drive them, we're going to be working on getting them to move them out of there. And then we're trying to update contracts with the tow companies so that we can, if someone, for example, says, hey, I can move, or I have a place to move this, but my car won't start or something like that, we're trying to update our contracts to get them a tow to where they need to go. So it basically gets them, off of Palisades. So I would guess within the next week or two, you're going to start seeing a change out there because we're basically going out there every day and trying to make stuff happen here.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any other council comments or questions? All right, let's open it up to the community. The first up is Becky McFarland, and I will ask you to unmute, please. There you go.
Hi, thank you for that report. And I've spoken to you before, and we've been very involved in trying to help remedy things on Palisades and to make things better at Oklahoma. Some of you here tonight may not know how many hundreds of hours we continue to put in on this issue to try to get services for people. Some people think we're just don't want to see people that are homeless. Nobody should have to be homeless. But the last time I drove down there was about 8:30 at night, and there were 23 vehicles. And some people seem to think that's okay. Well, we now also have people that are just storing their RVs down there. There's a giant RV that used to be on Mar Vista. The guy moves it every 3 days. There's a big fifth wheel trailer that was there back in 2020, and the guy goes down and works on it, and it's just sitting there. So I'm not sure how that is remedied. We also have people coming in. There's a vehicle there from Kansas right now. There was one recently from Utah. People are just coming in and camping overnight. We just found it on a Boondock app that you can come and park there. So those things are still going on. And there's a small group of us in town that have been trying to keep that from happening. Because like Andrea was saying, if you guys want to have fundraisers at the community center, or there's all those quinceañeras, and that's funding for our only meeting place in town, there's 23 spaces. Well, and it's more than 23 because those are giant motorhomes that are gone for people to park at. So we're still working on that stuff. And if you're interested, you guys can reach me through next door. We're still trying to push the county to do something good for the people and for our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Next up is Blake, and I will ask you to unmute.
Unmuting, and just a quick comment to answer Deborah's question. I was actually at the San Miguel Advisory Council last night, and then the Cambria and Cayucas ones earlier this month. And the report numbers are just up a little bit across the board in both the coastal and North County areas. So the commander's impression, who was there at the San Miguel last night, was that it was related to just storm activity, but that's just wanted to report out of the other advisory councils. That was
Thank you
it.
very much. Next up is Jeff, and I'll ask you to unmute. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hopefully it's there.
you're here.
Oh, okay, getting this thing. For the officer, I was just curious, you gave some statistics of reports you've done. How many of those actually were at Palisades, if any?
Can you be a little more specific on which type of reports you're?
Well, I mean, you had, you gave a different kind of a list of incidents, burglaries, you went through the whole gamut. Were any of those on this Palisades area?
So the way we have our statistics is just broken down for the entirety of Los Osos proper. So I don't have it down to kind of the specific parts of Los Osos.
Okay.
But if you shoot me an email or something, I'd be happy to kind of search more of what's happening on specifically Palisades.
Yeah, it was just a curiosity if you'd had it. I'm not going to have you do any extra work. Thanks.
I honestly don't mind. If you guys ever want to email me stuff like that, I'd be happy to look into it. Just my email is ecoys@the-county email.
All righty. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right, Becky, another quick comment. I'm asking you to unmute.
I was just going to say too, anybody that wants to look up the crime reports, if you go on to the sheriff's website, there's a sheriff's log and you can look at the maps and you can focus in on Palisades. I mean, it's gone down we had a week, was it a year ago, where there were 14 calls in 1 week on one block. Now it'll be like 2 or 4. Sometimes it's assault. Sometimes it's a suspicious activity. Sometimes it's a vehicle. Sometimes it says it's foot patrol and they're out talking to people. Something people should know is that there's been some people on Bush that have had a homeless woman come into their house while their doors were unlocked and then make herself comfortable on the couch. And as she was shooed out, she went down the street and went into somebody else's house. So there's things going on. But that's how you can find out on the sheriff's log online.
Thank you very much. We also have that on our website under the general meeting. We have the crime statistics for Los Osos on that. So that is on our website also.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think that's all the hands that were up.
Could I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
So just to add on to what Becky said about the website stats. So stats, if you don't know what you're looking at, stats can be a little misleading sometimes. And like she said, some of those are proactive activities such as foot patrol or just general extra patrols that deputies will log in our computers. And so, for example, you could see, 20 incidents on Palisades 1 week. But if you really break it down, 18 or 19 of those could be proactive activities where deputies are just going out and doing checks. And maybe only a couple of them are things we were called there for, like assaults or something like that. So just because you see a high number of something doesn't mean it's a higher number of like fresh crimes that were happening or incidents that were, summoning us there, for lack of a better word.
That's great information to have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Highway Patrol report, Captain Klingenberg or Jason Grimm? There you are. I'm asking you to unmute.
I'm here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Real quick, just to tie in with the Sheriff's Department, Sarge, if you want us to come help when you go out to Palisades on the red stuff, we can do that tomorrow too. Just give us a call, obviously, and we can come out there and assist if you need, or if you want help, we can assist with that. For us, specifically for Los Osos, for the month of February, we made 1 DUI arrest and handled 3 collisions. In and around Los Osos, we had a solo vehicle non-injury collision on Petro Valley Road at Nokomis Court. And then we had a 2-vehicle minor injury collision at 10th Street with intersection of Los Olivos Avenue. And then we had a 3rd 2-vehicle minor injury collision on 9th Street south of San Luis Avenue. Those were the incidents and collisions for the month of February for Los Osos, and I am also available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Okay. Any questions from the community? We have Patrick with his iPad. I will, there, okay. You're on,
Thank you.
Patrick.
I just had a question about, again, abandoned vehicles in Los Osos and Baywood. So we were talking last time that you were here, and there is a truck that is on 3rd Street that's been abandoned for over a year with plants all growing around it and stuff. And you'd mentioned that the tow companies, unless they can get paid for their services, they may not come. Can you tell me what happens to abandoned vehicles at this point?
Oh, okay. Yes, I heard about the boat and the pickup truck, right? Is what we talked about the last time?
Right, yeah, the boat's gone now.
Okay, yeah, I think we took care of the boat. What we had to do for both of those was figure out because of where they were parked, we had to figure out what the county's right of way was for both of those vehicles. We determined that they were within the county right of way. The boat was a little bit closer to being on private property, but it was not. The truck belongs to the house that it's parked in front of. And so we did go out and tag that truck. If it's still there, that just means we have not followed up on the tagging of that truck or talked with the owner yet. So we're still kind of working through that one. It sounds like if it's still there.
Okay, yes, it's still there.
Okay, so yeah,
And
that just means we did an initial contact and we haven't followed up with that. So we're gonna need to go back out there and figure that out. So we should hopefully have that handled here soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your
Yep.
time.
No problem.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
the question.
Becky has a question. Let me unmute her. Okay, Becky.
Hi, thank you. I'm wondering, it sounds like now both agencies sheriffs and CHP are tagging vehicles. Like the one motorhome that's now down on Palisades that was up here, I think on Mar Vista, was tagged, and then it got tagged again here on Highland. And the sheriffs came for that. Is that who we should call about something like that? Or you're tagging things also? Who do we call?
Yeah, so primarily vehicles parked on the roadway and things like that are a traffic issue, and they are, a highway patrol issue first of all. Now, it's more tricky now because of the homeless situation that's involved in that. And so we're working together. If you call us or you call the sheriff's department, we're going to go out there and we're going to take our action that we can take related to the vehicle code generally. And then if it becomes an issue where people are living there, and then we're sort of working in conjunction with the sheriff's department. But as a matter of rule, if you have a vehicle that's parked on the road, it's in violation of the 72-hour rule, or it has expired registration, then that is primarily a highway patrol call. Primarily.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that the sheriff's department can't take action with those. And that doesn't mean that we can't help the sheriff's department out with the homeless issues that are going along with that vehicle as well. But yeah, generally, if it's a vehicle code issue, that's our jurisdiction.
And one last thing, just past Los Osos Oaks, there's been some vehicles parked there for over a week. It's a van again. It looks like a couple of Priuses, and they're in the bike lane. And I don't know if you guys have.
Call us. We'll send an officer out to those and determine if they're legally parked or not legally parked, and we'll take whatever action we can.
Okay,
with those.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Any other questions for Captain Klingenberg?
Oh, let me lower hand.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for your
really
service. I appreciate it. Have a good month.
We will, thank you. All right, county staff report. Let's welcome Claire Momberger to our meeting. And let's unmute you. There you go. Okay, you're unmuted, but we don't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. It's 3 years later and still technical issues. Well, thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Claire Momberger. I'm a planner with the Long Range Division at the county, filling some big shoes left by Corey Hahn. But I am pretty involved in a lot of Los Osos projects and training up on those. And I'm just really excited about the movement in Los Osos and how involved the community is. So I'm really excited to be at these meetings for the foreseeable future. I also am managing the Los Osos water offset study. So I'm the person who you might be frustrated with at the timeline for that, but we can talk about that another time. But yeah, so just to kind of work through our county updates, the active permits, plans, tree removal reports were sent over to Tom yesterday. If any questions come up on those, I'm happy to answer them now if I can, or look into those. Next up, I just want to share that with Corey's absence, there are some staffing changes on who's working on long-range Los Osos projects, like the Habitat Community Plan, the Habitat Conservation Plan, the Los Osos Community Plan, and housing and ADUs and things like that. Trish is aware of what staff people are on those projects, but you can always reach out if you have questions. And then a big update on the legislative front, the coastal zone ADU ordinance hearing is set for April 4th next month, where suggested modifications from the Coastal Commission will be considered by the County Board of Supervisors. That's on April 4th. And just as a reminder, the big takeaway from those suggested modifications is that Los Osos, along with Cambria, are removed from the allowable area for ADUs in the coastal zone ADU ordinance. In the future, the Los Osos portion of the ordinance will be considered by the board as part of the community plan update. So there's information about that agenda, which should be posted soon for your review on the county website.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Andrea.
Thanks. Welcome, Claire. Great to have you here. Can you just update, and part of it is that I missed the last meeting, but can you just update real quick on where we are with the Habitat Conservation Plan, where it is in the whole scheme of everybody touching it and, moving it on?
Yeah, so Corey was working pretty diligently with the service to address concerns as soon as possible and before we submitted the plan formally. So it sounds like, I think in the next 2 weeks, the goal is by the end of this month that the plan is submitted to the service, and then their formal review takes about 2 months on average. So that's kind of what we're depending on. And then when the service is done, hopefully they approve and we're certified.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, I have a question. Claire, you mentioned about the ADUs. So the April 4th meeting is a Board of Supervisors meeting?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be looking at what the Coastal Commission is coming back and saying, no ADUs in Los Osos.
Right. They're
correct?
considering their suggested modifications. Yeah.
Right. Because that's the way it is right now.
Right. So this is just considering that formally being in the ordinance, until anything changes or any amendments to the ordinance are made.
And then would that change when they approve the Los Osos community plan, or not change it? It could change if that,
I think,
depending on what's in the plan.
yeah, I think it's not a direct cause and effect, but by effect, where, if the big issues with the community plan are a sustainable water source, that's a demand that we're eliminating ADUs for the time being. So I think it helps in that way.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions from the community? Nope. All right, Claire, thank you so much and welcome. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Supervisor Gibson cannot be here tonight, but I
Oh,
know.
wait, Becky has a question.
Okay, Becky, I'm asking you to unmute.
Sorry, I was trying to find the little hand button. I had a question. You said that you would talk about the Title 19 retrofit ordinance or whatever it's called at a later time. I'm just wondering, since that has not been settled yet, why is the county still issuing permits for that? And why are not guest houses required to have retrofits?
That's a really overarching question. I think the first one is probably not one that I can answer right away. But just to kind of refresh on the purpose of the Title 19 study is more to look at how effective that water offset program has been, and also really give us an understanding of if usage, average usage for certain residential uses has changed since the ordinance began. That's a big piece of that study. And then also evaluating what conservation measures that are not included in the ordinance could be effective in Los Osos. So that's really the focus of the study, which will inform updates to that policy. So to kind of answer the latter half of your question, Becky, once we finish that study is when we are looking into updating the ordinance, which would just start its own timeline after that.
And that possibly could include that if guest houses are allowed, that they would have to do retrofits also.
It's possible.
Okay, thank you, Claire.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Blake now. And I had you right here. Where did you go? Oh, there you are, Blake. Sorry. I lost you for a moment. Okay.
All good. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, apologies that Supervisor Gibson is not able to make it tonight. He's in LA for the California State Association of Counties. He's, as the first vice president of that organization, he is doing something probably every month, and they usually schedule it on Wednesdays and Thursdays of the fourth week, which has caused some conflicts with our advisory councils. But I hope that I am a fair substitute. I also want to personally thank both Corey and Claire. Corey, you've been great to work with along the way. I just wanted to make sure he got all the necessary shout outs and look forward to working with Claire. At yesterday's supervisors meeting, the board chose to join Central Coast Community Energy, or commonly known as 3CE. And what that is it's kind of like a middleman power utility, so to speak. So instead of getting your bill from PG&E, the unincorporated residents of San Luis Obispo County will join the 7 cities of San Luis Obispo County to use 3CE. That won't actually take effect until the year 2025. It's kind of like open enrollment for benefits, and that you say you're going to join, and then there's a million administrative steps in between. But the end result would be in January of 2025, residential users will have a 40% reduction in their power bills by going with this new provider. If one does not want to be part of 3CE, one absolutely may opt back into taking PG&E as their provider. Also yesterday, reporting out of closed session, somewhat of a surprise, the board accepted the resignation of our county administrative officer, Wade Horton, who will be staying on through the end of April, but we are going to be starting a nationwide job hunt for a new CAO, a very important position within the county. For those who might not be familiar, all of the county department heads technically report to the CAO, those who are not elected, that is, as kind of their point of contact director of the county. The CAO reports to the board as a whole. Coming up on the April 4th meeting, in addition to that coastal zone item, the board is going to once again take a look at the campaign contribution limits. It is Supervisor Gibson's intent to lower that individual contribution limit that was previously set to $25,000 per individual, down to match the state limit of 4.9 or $4,900 dollars per individual for a campaign contribution limit. That is what I had prepared, but of course, happy to answer any questions. And if I don't have an answer, I can do research and get back to people.
Thank you, Blake. We have a few questions. The first one is Andrea.
Thanks, Blake. Definitely surprising news about Wade. My
Yeah.
question is recruitment process. I'm guessing 6 to 12 months. Who's going to be the interim CAO, or too soon to tell?
TBD. I don't have any information on that, or how the recruitment process. I would imagine it will be a significant. This isn't some position that you just pop in a healthy application. This person's going to be meeting with stakeholder groups, department heads, the board. It's going to be a rigorous process. We haven't even started the advertisement for it yet. I'm sure the board will determine some interim CAO solution, but who or the timing of that is unknown at this point. The good news is we do have Mr. Horton for another month.
Thanks, Blake.
All right, next, is there any other questions from council first? Okay, then next would be Jeff, and I will ask you to unmute. Okay, Jeff, you're up.
Yep. Hi, Blake. I think it was November, December. Bruce had made a comment. There was a big issue. I'm an RVer and participant in a Harvest Host deal. San Luis Obispo County shut down all the Harvest Host locations at a lot of the small businesses. I think he said it was to be looked at by permits or somebody, and to be a solution brought back in February. Do you have any update on that, whether a lot of these small wineries are able to host?
I do. I do. And I know exactly what you're talking about. That was the Harvest Host program. And I think there was some confusion in the partly because of the name, with Hip Camp, which is similar to a vacation rentals, but for camping. So just for some quick context, and then I'll answer Jeff's question. The Harvest Host program is an RV on a commercial or on an established lot that doesn't hook up into the sewer system. There's no TOT or transient occupancy tax. There's no money being exchanged. It's just, here's a place where a RVer could safely stay. And the hope is that they patronize the business. That was likely because the planning codes pertaining to outdoor camping and RVing predated the existence of that kind of program. But the board did vote 4-1, I think in early March, to allow that program to continue. I believe, I don't remember if it's 2 or 3, depending on the size of the property, but that use is once again allowed.
Okay, I'm asking you to unmute again, Jeff, just to see if you're finished.
Yeah, no, I thank you. That's kind of what I was expecting, but I hadn't heard anything official. It's really a good program.
Yeah, it was a good across the aisle discussion and solution.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Blake. Question from Becky.
Hi, Blake. Thanks for being here. I have a question. The other day, I believe it was Bruce said that on May 2nd, there'll be a presentation by, I think, Joe Zavonik about some type of solution or plan about what's going to happen once Oklahoma Avenue is emptied out. And before you answer, I was just wondering if there's any inkling of what kinds of things they might be thinking of. And also, are the other 2 sites that were planned to be opened in the county still being pursued?
Good question. So yes, I just, while you were talking, looked up at the look ahead spreadsheet that we have, and that discussion is still slated for May 2nd. It looks like it's going to be a significant presentation. Joe did meet with us, and while the specific jurisdictions of which we're not yet ready to become public, he's been working with the cities, several of which throughout the county on alternative sites that will that have basically borne the fruit of our previous work working with the cities. So I can't yet get into the specifics of those, but that will be part of the presentation come May 2nd, the announcement of some of those other sites. And then to the second part of your question, the two alternate sites that were recommended or asked for by the board, yes, are still being pursued, but we're gonna, with Oklahoma or Kansas being phased out, we're gonna have to get back to a first site before sites 2 and 3 would be pursued.
And would a first site be in our, like in District 2, or could that be in South County or North County?
It absolutely could be in other areas of the county. It would go where it basically would make the most impact and get the taxpayers the most bang for your buck. That was previously at the site where it stands currently. I don't know where it would be. It would ideally it would need to be at a site that was had some additional proximity to services.
Right. And I wanted to thank you for all those months that you got to take that on when it first opened. Because I know
my hair is grayer for that, but it was
I
a good
know,
experience.
but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Becky. Let's move on to Claire. I've asked you to unmute.
Thanks, just going back to the Harvest Toast RV thing, I just shared a link in the chat. The planning department put out like a really concise announcement on that, as the board recently made a decision, and the board resolution is attached to that, just for.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, and I stand corrected. It looks like it was 3 to 5, depending on the size of the lot. Not 2 to 3.
Perfect. Great information. Thank you so much. Anything else for Blake? All right, let's move on to CSD report. I think we have Ron Munz here tonight. I'm asking you to unmute.
I think Troy's going to do the report.
Oh, Troy's going to do the report. Okay.
Yeah, Troy's going to do the report. Thanks.
But you can stay unmuted if you like. Okay, Troy, I've asked you to unmute. There you go.
Good evening. There we go.
That's better.
Yes.
I hate
I get the honors
pictures.
tonight.
Yeah,
the
I like
CSD
seeing
update.
a photo. I like seeing a real person.
Agree. So we have a few updates tonight. One is some basin information. So the district has been assigned a FEMA representative to help us with our public assistance request for basin emergency repairs. There's some female personnel in the office on Tuesday morning to start that process. The district has provided about 40 some documents through the FEMA grant portal to assist in substantiating the claim. This effort will be a multi-step process to hopefully bring some partial reimbursement for the cost of the basin repairs. The update on the repairs right now they're underway. They've been hampered a little bit by the recent storms. The breach has been fully restored, but it remains unprotected from the weather. There has been some erosion, but nothing serious that we can't quickly resolve once the weather permits. We're expecting to take it about two more weeks after to complete the emergency repair after the weather permitting. Station 15 building assessment. We're pretty close to finishing a final draft for the report for the fire station building assessment. The consultant team has been working on the assessment since early January. Once we complete that, we'll have a presentation for the board of directors, possibly the April 6th meeting. To remind people, the station was built back in the 60s and 70s with some remodeling and seismic retrofitting performed over the years. So we think this is, obviously a very important community resource. and looking at what assessments we need to do to sustain that building. You can contact Ron for further updates, or come to our board meeting once we have that presentation on the agenda. Program Seawell project, the water transmission phase of the project is out to bid. Luckily, we've had quite a bit of interest from local contractors. The bids are due March 30th. The estimated cost for the pipeline is about $1 million. The well equipping phase is moving along quickly. We just received the 50% design submittal. The design phase should be completed by the end of April. Our fiscal year 23-24 budget is coming. District staff has been working on the upcoming fiscal year budget. A draft budget will be ready for the May Finance Advisory Committee and board meetings with adoption schedule for the June board meeting. The BMC Recycle Water Facility Planning Grant. The district is lead agency for a state water board grant to support the BMC in the development of a transient groundwater model. The grant was finally awarded to the district after about a year in the grant pipeline. A released RFP has been released to hire a consultant to do the work. Proposals are due March 31st, so the district has a lot going on this spring. And that's the end of our report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from council or community? All right, Troy, I think you got off easy tonight. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Next one is the Chamber of Commerce report, and that is Jim.
I think
over
I'll,
to President Cross.
Oh, Tom, so sorry.
yeah, it's okay. Jim and I talked and decided that since I'm the president now, I should probably give the update. The big update is that the awards dinner has been pushed back to early June, I believe the first weekend in June. And that will give the new board a completely new board to make that event as good as it can be after a couple of years of it not happening. And that's the big update right now.
Okay. And we have Blake who has a question. Okay. Blake?
There we
you are.
go. Camera came off. Just wanted to say, Tom, if you'll keep us posted, I would be happy to provide certificates of recognition for any award winners.
That
All right.
job, Blake, you and I'll be talking with the names. Okay,
Confidentially, of course. Thank you.
of course. Yeah.
All right, is that it for the chamber report?
And is there any further questions?
Nope, I think we're clear. Let's go to public comment for items not on the agenda. Each speaker gets 3 minutes, but there's no discussion. Any public comment? All right. Let's approve the minutes from the February 23rd meeting. Can I get a motion? A motion from Jim. Can I get a second?
Andrea will second. Oh,
Thank
Larry
you.
got it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
It passes unanimously. All right, treasurer's report, Jim.
Yeah, very simply, beginning balance was $1,908.31. We had an interest positive 15 cents. So our closing balance, $1,908.46. And I need a motion, maybe, to pay for a Chamber of Commerce membership to the budget. Maybe we don't really need a motion.
Well,
what
let's,
do you think?
I think we probably do need a motion.
$100.
How much?
$100.
$100. I move that we pay the Chamber of Commerce $100 for their fund. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Deborah seconds. Can I get all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, it passes. Thank you. Land use report, Larry.
We only had one
project that we're working on, and it'll be coming up later in the regular agenda. We've got some activity going on in Baywood, and I'll keep everybody posted on that. Still incompleted paperwork, so we're waiting for the paperwork to all be finished on that.
Okay. Trees and landscape, and Andrea.
Thanks, Trish. We canceled our March meeting. We haven't done a lot of planting lately because of all the rain. I did take a look at what we planted at the South Bay Community Center, and it looks like it's flourishing. Absolutely. And appreciate all the people that helped with that. We will be having a tree and landscape meeting on April 20th, and stay tuned for all the excitement for planting in the spring. Thanks.
Okay. Any questions on trees and landscape? Okay. Let's move on to outreach. Tom.
All right. At the last meeting, we discussed a couple of things, finishing up the flyer, which I'm very excited to present to the council once that's done. We discussed testing out some in-person meetings just to see how that will affect outreach, specifically with the active transport committee being the testing bed for that. And we discussed the process for giving public comment at county supervisor meetings and possibly getting what the council wants brought up at those meetings through when we write our newsletter. Any questions or comments on that?
Nope. All right. Let's do the water report with Deborah.
Oh, okay. Water report first. Here we go.
Yeah, sorry, that's just how I had it on my agenda.
No
If you wanna do-
problem. They're both right here. So the Basin Management Committee met on the 15th. And at that meeting, the Regional Water Quality Control Board presented their findings regarding well contamination for the Sunset Terrace well and the Cabrillo Estates wells. Excuse me. Next month, there's going to be a detailed presentation by James Bishop at our next general LOCAC meeting. That is on April 27th. It will be at our 7 o'clock usual time. And he's going to be sharing his information with us. He's going to present the analysis, and he's also going to review the current county requirement for Cabrillo Estates LAMP, L-A-M-P, stands for Local Agency Management Program. Like, doesn't mean much to me, but it's about the septic systems. And if you've been around, you know that I've reported on that before. It involves, and I'm going to share screen, I think, and show you just to refresh your memory. For septic systems that fail. Are you seeing that?
Yep.
Yes.
It requires installing a new system that is like a mini wastewater system with a new leach field, because of the issues that we're seeing with the contamination of the wells. So he's going to be talking about that. He's much more of an expert than I am, so I'm really, really glad that we're going to be having him here. In a nutshell, the report, I'm not going to go into all of the details of it, but basically there are estimated to be 3,000 to 6,000 pounds of nitrates per year that are flowing from the septic systems in Cabrillo and contaminating the wells. And obviously that means contaminating the aquifer. So he's going to have more information on that. And there was discussion of, at the meeting about both the S&T well and the Golden State well that supplies the Cabrillo Estates are at risk of being shut down sometime in the future. So we'll probably hear more about that. There was a discussion about looking at drilling an additional program C well. We have there are 3 program C wells. 2 of them, one is finished. One is the one that the CSD reported on tonight. And there was a 3rd well that was deferred. Now they're talking about bringing that back up and considering drilling this well. It's on the east side of Los Osos, past Willow. So, you know, it's one of those streets out there. So it's pretty far inland from the ocean. The project was deferred, but it might be necessary to drill a new well. I just want to encourage everybody to attend next month's meeting so that you can get more detailed information from the experts about that. And now something I think a little fun on the water report. So let me pull this up and go to here, but not that one, this one. Okay, this is something that came through. Can you see that?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, not yet. All right, hold on. Let me try again. There we go. Now.
And we definitely want to see it if it's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun. Check this out. Okay.
much better than wastewater.
This is about the snowpack that we've gotten in California with all of our storms, and about recharging our basins. These big circles here, this is the Sierra Nevadas, obviously. That number 8,909, that's 1,000 acre feet of snowpack. And you know, that snow's gonna melt. So this is what we're looking at. 198% Sierra Nevadas, 236% in the Southern Sierras, all of that. And so they're looking here. These are areas that are already flooding and will probably be flooding as we get into spring and the warmer weather. We are in here. Let me pull this up a little bit for everybody. We're right down here. Here we are. And so we're hoping that we're going to get some recharge out of this extreme weather. We do have the Los Osos Creek, which recharges our basin. And we'll just have to wait and see what kind of effect this has had. But I thought this was an interesting slide that came across my my desk, and I thought I would share it with you because guys, that's a lot of water.
A lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of snow right now, that's for sure.
Yes, so that's my water report.
Thank you very much. Why don't you just move right into your active transportation report?
Okay, active transportation. All right. If you've been around for a while, you know I've been talking about the Safe Track Safety Assessment, which we were fortunate enough to get from UC Berkeley, and it is underway. We've had our first meeting with the consultants, and they are starting to, you know, do their investigation. They are going to do an on-site visit here in Los Osos in either late April or late May. We're kind of working on the dates now. I have suggested that they come on a Monday so that they can be here when we have our beautiful farmers market. So more on that later. And then I want you to know that LOCAC has voted and signed a letter of support for a proposed pipeline connecting S&T water with CSD water. This is obviously because they're having such a difficult issue with the S&T well that they're looking for an additional water source. They've asked to work with the CSD. They're working out a pipeline that would connect the two. And we decided to support this project because we would like to have a trail as that would go along with that pipeline. And this would be a bike path and a pedestrian trail that would essentially connect from like the community center to Monarch Elementary School, which is one of our high priorities right now. So we don't know exactly where the pipeline is going to go, but if it goes anywhere near that, then we hope to add some money to that project and build a trail while we're at it. Let's see. Andrea mentioned SLOCOG. SLOCOG has a public hearing to receive comments on the draft 2023 Regional Transportation Plan. The meeting will be at the Arroyo Grande City Council Chambers on April 5th at 9 a.m. You can also submit your comments online. You can also send them in by snail mail. You can find the regional transportation report on their website, on the SLOCOG website. I'm going to give you a little information that James Worthley shared with me about the, let me see, where's my share screen? Here it is. Okay, let's go to here. Here. I'm getting better at this, guys. It's amazing, but true. Oh, no, want to go back? Oh, back too far. Let me start over. There's the slide I want. Here's what I want. Okay. Here we are. This is what we're faced with here in San Luis Obispo County. Highways, major roads, local road maintenance, public transport, active transportation. We're all in deficits. The total is, $2.3 billion in deficit. So we don't have to really ask the question, why can't we get a trail, a bicycle path made, or why can't we get, improvements on our roads? This is the reason why. As an unincorporated area of the county, we're completely dependent on them to help us out with infrastructure. So I just want to read some things about these slides. You'll see there's a big zero there. That's because we don't have any funding on a regional basis. 90% of California's population reside in counties that collect regional guaranteed transportation funds through a sales tax. There are 25 such counties, including Santa Barbara, Monterey, and Santa Cruz, to name a few. I'm going to show you a map later of what those counties are. In our region, we do not have a sales tax for our transportation projects. We depend on local cities, the county, state, and federal budgets to support all of our transportation needs. And as a result, many of the projects on our list have no way to be funded within the time frame and budget of any plan. So here's an example. Over here, this is the need on the far corner here where it says SLO County through 2045. This is what we need, $180 million, all right? Over here, at this end, this is where we're at as far as how much money we have. This is Santa Cruz, all right? Every 2 years, the state offers up competitive grant funding for active transportation. That's what I like. Starting on the far right column, our 23-year plan hopes for $180 million for bicycle, pedestrian, and safe routes to school improvements. In the middle is Santa Cruz. Our sister agency in Santa Cruz offered up $32 million in matching funds, and they were awarded $115 million in state grants. Most of their match comes from the $120 million for active transportation in their sales tax measure. It is staggering to think the Santa Cruz region has $140 million in real funds to spend on safe routes to school, coastal trails, bike lanes, and more over the next few years, while SLOCOG hopes to receive $180 million spread out for the next 2 decades for our improvements. In 2022, SLOCOG applied for and was offered $12 million in matching and offered $12 million in matching grants. We got $36 million in state matching grants for our projects. if we had more to put up, we would get more like Santa Cruz. So this is the condition of our roads. I don't need to tell you, you guys are out there, you know how bad it can be in some areas. Just for an example, again, our sister agency in Monterey is putting well over $12 million a year towards local road maintenance, pothole repairs, and safety. This is in addition to normal funds that they receive for infrastructure. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, here's a fun picture. Do you recognize that? Shell Beach area? Okay. Most of us are familiar with the reoccurring issues in the afternoons heading southbound on the 101 in Shell Beach. Our plan has an improvement to fix this 5-mile segment in the short term. LOCAC has set aside $5.5 million and will be competing for state or federal grants, seeking an additional $55 million. If we were to fund this one with just our annual funds that we receive, it would take 9 years from today, not accounting for inflation, to reach that amount of money that we need, which means no other interchanges or highway improvements could be addressed in the coming decade. How long would it take for our region to collect $55 million with a sales tax for transportation? In 2 years, 70 million could be collected, covering this project and leaving 15 million to go to interchanges, downtown improvements, or local road maintenance or other purposes. Our sister agency, Santa Barbara, improved 101 through Santa Maria by widening and improving interchanges over a decade ago with their measure funds. Now they are addressing their South Coast issues. Similar sized regions with these additional funds have $30 million or more each year. They use their funds to improve their transportation system and to capture state competitive funds. Our region has fallen behind. And then we're coming back here. If we had a comparable sales tax for transportation like Monterey, Santa Barbara, or Santa Cruz, this is what our numbers would look like. That's, $1.7 billion there. In all likelihood, that would eliminate our shortfalls. So obviously, you know where this is going. There was a Measure J on the ballot back in 2016. It was a 0.5-cent sales tax. And you know what, guys? It almost passed. You had to have 67%, and it got 66.3%. I'm going to share one more screen because I think this is interesting. It's over here. Here. There we are.
Nope, not
Okay,
yet.
wait. I had to find it. Now I'll share it. Here we go. All right. These are what they call can you see it now?
Yep.
They're called self-help counties. These are the counties that have sales tax. Santa Barbara, Monterey, Tulare, Fresno, San Benito just did theirs. So Monterey has a 3/8 cent tax. Santa Cruz has a 0.5-cent tax. Merced has a 0.5-cent tax. San Benito has a whole penny. LOCAC is planning on taking a poll in the county to see what people think about a new Measure J. It almost passed before. Maybe it'll pass this time. Who knows? What does this mean for Los Osos? We can't do anything here without county funding it. And county doesn't have the money to fund us. It's obvious. We want our safe routes to school. We want our coastal trail. We want our Class 1 bike paths. but we're not going to get them unless we get some money. And so this is an important conversation. I urge you to look at their draft report, comment on it if you would like, and just consider. I mean, it's a little bit embarrassing that all these other counties are taking care of themselves and we're not. That's my opinion, personal opinion. Anyway, I'm happy to answer questions as best I can.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Let's move to, we have no consent items tonight. Larry, you want to walk us through the Callaway project?
Okay, we've got Bob Simonson here, who's representative for the project. If we can get him unmuted, I'm going to let him fill you in on the project.
Okay, you are unmuted, Bob.
Okay, yeah. Hi, everybody. It's been very interesting listening to all the reports, seeing as how I moved away about 8 years ago. A interesting part on the last one was San Diego did a 0.5-cent sales tax about long before I had moved here. And everybody down here is complaining that they're not getting what they thought they paid for when they had the sale, when they put the sales tax through. Just a word of caution. I'm here to give you the information on the Callaway project. It's the property is on San Luis Rey Place is the street I live on. It's on Seahorse Lane, and it's a 5-acre parcel. It has a water meter on the adjacent piece of property with an easement going across that property to the 5 acres. And it has a federally registered habitat conservation plan. Information on the building itself. I'm just going to say it right off the bat. It's huge. First floor is 5,306 square feet with 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. The second floor is 7,465 square feet with 1 bedroom and 1 bath and 2 half baths. The total square footage is 12,771 square feet. It has a garage that's 1,071 square feet. There are patios and decks, which are 1,908 square feet. And the height of the building is 25 feet, 4 inches. Now, as far as land impact goes, the footprint is 6,377 square feet, which is 2.8% of the land area. There's a permeable driveway, which is 4,195 square feet, which is 1.9% of the land area. So the total lot coverage is 10,572 square feet, which is 4.8% of the property. The total impermeable area is 7,208 square feet, or 4.8% of the property. Now, the HCP mitigation for under the HCP, there's the building envelope allowed by this HCP is 0.718 acres. There's an open space easement, which has already been recorded with the county, of 0.45 acres. And there's a conservation easement, which has been recorded at the county with the Fish and Wildlife Service of 3.824 acres. So the total conserved area is 4.282 acres. Vegetation removal is 3 oak trees and 8 Manzanita, and it's a 4-to-1 ratio is what's in the existing HCP. Now, as far as water's concerned, this project was approved by the county back in 2009. And in that approval, there was the developer statement had a water retrofit of 900 gallons per day. Now, whether or not the county will be increasing that amount, we don't know yet because they haven't really reviewed the project. So I'd be very surprised if it went to anything below 900 gallons per day. I would guess it'd probably be more. So any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Other than why it's so big?
Well, I'm not going to ask that question. Everyone can, that's up to the owners. That's not my business at all. What I had heard is that the owners were going to get the water through a San Leandro site that they owned in 2011 and sold. So where is this water coming?
It's Golden State.
Do they have a letter from Golden State?
They have a water meter.
They have a water meter.
And-
But is the water meter on San Leandro or is it on Seahorse?
It's on San Leandro, yes.
But there's also a house being built on San Leandro. Wouldn't that water meter be for that home?
There's 2 water meters on the property right now. One is for the San Leandro site. And from what I know, the people that they sold the lot to have decided not to build on it at this time anyway. And there's 2 water meters, one for the San Leandro property and one for the 5 acres. And the 5-acre property, as part of the HCP, the western, I'd say 25% of the lot, the 5-acre lot, used to be a motorcycle track back in the 70s and 80s. And so the vegetation was basically ruined there. So part of the HCP is there has to be a revegetation project. So the owners had the meter put in years ago with the idea that they would at least get started on the restoration project.
Has that started?
No, not yet, because the project got stopped. The original approval by the county, the Coastal Commission appealed it, and they approved, I'm going to say they approved a project. And that was because the owners, the Kellaways, had a permit for both the 5 acres and the 1/2 acre. And the Coastal Commission came back and approved the project with the condition that they could build a house on the 1/2 acre, but they had to permanently set aside the 5 acres. And the Kellaways did not accept that condition, so that permit never went into effect. And they subsequently sold the 1/2 acre, and now they're trying to get a permit on the 5 acres.
Okay. So they, I mean, that's quite a distance from the San Leandro site because I live right above Seahorse. So I see both of these sites each day. So, okay. Do we have any other questions from council?
Yeah, I just need some clarification. It's a little bit confusing. And hey, Bob,
Hi,
nice to see
Andrea.
you.
How are you?
I'm good. It's
everything's
good
well.
to see you. Yeah, nice. Same here. So I think you just said that the Coastal Commission denied their request for a development on the 5 acres, but now they're going back in. Can you help me here?
Okay, Coastal Commission at that time, they were promoting what they called single parcel theory. And that was, they had tried it on 3 places in the coastal zone across the state. And basically what that theory was if someone had a vacant piece of property and they wanted a permit on another piece of property, the Coastal Commission could require them to retire one of the sites in order to get the permit on the other piece of property. It's gone to court a couple times. They've lost in court, but they had continued it. And at the Coastal Commission hearing, when they decided to do that, as the representative, I went to the podium and I told them, well, you know, the owners are just going to sell the property, the ½ acre, and come back for a permit on the 5 acres. The commissioners, 3 of the commissioners asked, well, can they do that? And their counsel told them, yeah, you don't have the right to retire a lot only as a condition. And if the people don't accept the condition, then they don't have to do it. But they would end up having to sell the other lot. So that's where it stood.
Okay, I think that's helpful.
Oh, well, so yeah, I mean, they don't own the other lot. Now, I'm sure Coastal Commission, I mean, I was in Los Osos long enough to know water is the issue. And I have no doubt, and Patrick and I have talked about, yeah, this project will probably get appealed to the Coastal Commission if it even gets out of the county. And that's just what the existing conditions are.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, I have a question.
Deborah.
So Bob, if I'm understanding your description, the water connection will be on San Leandro, the meter will be on San Leandro, but the water is going to the Seahorse property, and that there is an easement on the San Leandro property allowing for that water pipeline.
Yes,
Is that right?
that's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So when they sold that lot, they sold it with that understanding that they are taking an easement for their pipeline to go.
It has a recorded easement.
Okay,
Yes,
good for them, because otherwise that could be messy.
yes. And they can still put a well on if they need.
Well, yeah, I just assumed they would have a well with 5 acres, but I can see, what
Yeah.
are they doing for a septic?
They're gonna have to do the new regional board requirements. It'll basically be a little mini treatment plant.
Any other comments, questions?
If you have a second, I'd just like to know at the meeting we went over, one was the size of the property came up. Is it too large for Los Osos? And there was comment back and forth on that. Then I've got it. Let me look at my notes. We discussed they had some strange, or not strange, but the usage of the property, what they were going to be using it. They were going to be having some of their clientele stay in the lower unit, so almost using it as a commercial place, but it was a private residency. But
you want me to explain that, Larry?
Well, I'll if people want that explained, I'm just bringing up things you discussed with us. you know, which we discussed at the land use meeting. And again, there was no big consensus. One of the motions that was made was to do a 3-to-1 water offset, which now the standard right now is a 2-to-1 water offset. But that was voted down. I had actually mentioned maybe we table this until the water concerns are satisfied, but nobody liked that. And then the motion was made, you know, not to support this, as we have done just for all new water projects. Land use has not supported any new water use until things get figured out. And that was the motion that was finally passed. It was 5-to-1, not to support this project, basically on because it's an added water use to our community. And now, if anyone had questions about any of the stuff that we discussed, Bob is here to answer them, or I can answer some of the discussion we had. This was quite interesting discussion at the land use meeting.
Always is.
Okay, I think we have Andrea and then we have Tom.
Thank you, Trish. And I think that Larry answered my question, but I'm just confirming that this is really a new water use. I mean, I think Larry said it,
Yes.
they had a vote 5-to-1, so it sounds like a new water use.
It is a new water use.
Okay, thank you.
Tom?
That basically answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council or from the community?
Yeah, I have a question. I have a quick question. So Bob, is there any discussion on the project as far as using conservation methods like collecting rainwater or using gray water or anything like that? Has there been any consideration about that?
Yeah, that was brought up at the land use committee meeting, and there hasn't been discussion about collecting rainwater, but that's a definite possibility. And gray water, you know, I'm sure that's going to eventually be part of the conditioning of it. Gray water systems in California are pretty hard. When I lived in Los Osos, we put in a few of them, and it's pretty difficult meeting the requirements. You know, you can't have any water that comes to the surface, and there's a lot of requirements with it. It's not as easy as hooking up your washer and dryer, your washing machine, and then just letting it drain out into the yard. But this property, even with the allowable footprint, or not footprint, but disturbed area, could definitely, it could be a possibility because there's enough land without encroaching into the conservation areas to be able to accommodate a gray water system.
Yeah, and the amount of roof that you have that could potentially collect rainwater could be quite significant as well. If that was, you know, thought to be an important part of the project.
Yeah. And I've talked with the owners about that since the land use committee meeting, and they're open to it. But, you know, to be honest with you, I've let them know that this is not a shallow slope cliff. It's a steep cliff they're trying to go up.
Not a slam dunk. Is that what you're saying?
Not even close. More like a half court shot.
Okay, if there's no, Becky? Oh, sorry. Ask to unmute. Try again. Okay. Becky,
I wanted to thank Bob for you were so thorough at land use and you speak so clear and, straightforward that it was easy to understand the program, the whole project. Something that we did bring up too is that it's permitted as a single family residence. And we brought up that it basically is kind of like a retreat or a business, not just a single family residence. With the gray water and rainwater use, if you're hoping to use any of that indoors, there's going to have to be some sort of little treatment plant for that. You can't just use rainwater in your household.
Right.
That was brought up, and I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, and then Bob, you had also said, sorry, my puppy is growling, that the owners had even said they'd be willing to take off the bottom floor and just build the top floor to be able to get this built. And you might want to speak to that for people. Thank you.
That was just something that the owner had mentioned to me. As far as a visual advantage to that, the lot is sloped, and the second story being right under the first story really is more accommodating of the slope. So visually, it probably wouldn't be a big advantage, but the house really can't be seen that much from, you can see it down from the end there, at the new, I call it the newer Cabrillo Estates because that's what it was years ago. But really no more than any other. Like I said, it's 25 feet 4 inches above the natural average natural grade. Do you want me to quickly say what the issue is about the use of it?
Yes.
Okay. The people that own it, they own from what I understand, the premier art magazine in the country called American Art Review. And it comes out quarterly, and they will feature 2 or 3 different artists each issue. So what they do, and they do this in their other house, which is their house they live in now, which is quite a bit bigger than this one, if you can believe that. They will have, like in 2-week periods, each artist will come to the house and they just kind of live with them to get to know them. And while they're doing their magazine, it's basically their research for when they do their magazine. Now, their magazine is published and printed in Kansas City. So this isn't going to be a place where they're actually producing the magazine. But that's what it's used for. So there will be periods of time where there will be 1, 2, maybe 3 people will be coming to the property and staying for a couple weeks while they do their research on whatever artist it is that they're featuring.
Okay. Any other questions? Becky. Right.
Yeah, and I think the question about, or the topic of them removing the bottom floor was, didn't you say there's 4 bathrooms down there? It was
there are 3. Let me see here.
Yeah,
there's 3.5 baths downstairs.
And how many bedrooms were downstairs?
3.
3 bedrooms.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was more of it, not so much the height of it, because there's a lot of tall houses in Cabrillo. That, and then, Claire's still here from county planning. Is something like that that's used as a business, does that need to have some kind of a permit to run that? Or is that just considered you're having, it's just an interesting thing. And I'm an artist too. I'm not against having artists and things, but it was just a really different usage of a house. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's, okay, go ahead, Claire.
Oh, yeah, I think, there's the activity would need to be defined. It doesn't really sound like a business license would be needed. So that's just my initial thought and comment.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, because I didn't know if that's considered taking in lodgers or, I mean, I guess if they're not paying to stay there. So thank you, Claire. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, if there's no other questions, can I have a motion, please?
Did you want to open this up to the public or
I thought we had.
have? Okay.
Are there any other questions from council or public? Because Becky is public, so.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion then that
Okay.
LOCAC not support this project, even though it seems like a worthwhile project, but just because of added water use, new water use to our questionable water system.
I'll second.
Okay, so is the proper wording of that LOCAC does not want to support the project due to the water use? That's the full motion?
To the added water use to our basin.
Motion to, all right.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second by Andrea. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed. Okay, it passes. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Bob, for being here.
consideration.
Could you remind me how many yays there were and how many nays there were? Because I was too busy writing down the motion.
It was all yays, no nays.
All right.
Good seeing you, Bob.
Nice to see you, Andrea.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Bye,
Hi,
Bob.
Patrick. Bye-bye.
Very interesting. Oh, and by the way, Bob, on sales tax, sometimes that money goes into the general fund. So you have to make sure it's dedicated to what you want. So if you want it to be transportation, you better make sure that it's only going to transportation.
Yeah, it was. I was on SLOCOG traffic committee for years.
Oh, good.
And yeah, but yeah, just a word of warning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Under business items, I was reviewing all of our planning goals this morning and going through them. And it's going to take more time than we have tonight. So what I was thinking of is that I think we need to have another executive session and we can just finalize the goals. It'll probably take our hour and then we would be done. And then if we had any other business items at that time, we could take care of that. Does that sound cool to everybody?
Mhm.
Any objections to going over them tonight? No. Okay. Then I think the meeting is adjourned at 8:34. Thank you, guys. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.